If you're actively seeking ways to build your mental toughness, navigate life transitions with grace, or simply find inspiration to keep moving forward, then you're in the right place. Welcome to the Art of Beautiful Thinking podcast.
How to heal after heartbreak.
That's a big one.
It is, isn't it? I think everybody I know, and I'm sure the same with you, Eva, we've all experienced it at some point in our life. We've fallen madly in love with someone, thought that they were absolutely amazing, and then it all went to shit. It all fell apart. So I think commonly what we've noticed, what Eva and I have discussed, we notice that commonly after heartbreak, a lot of people, and I think, men and women, tend to get to that point where they say, right, that's it, I'm done. I'm not doing that again. I'm so hurt. It's such a pointless waste of my energy and time. I'm never going back into another relationship, and I've had it. So how do you stay open-hearted?
They keep cycling back into the same relationship, going back and forth.
They do. Or they go from one extreme to the other. They're either going, right, that's it, I'm done. I never want to meet anyone. And then in their vulnerable moments confess that they're desperately lonely and they'd love to meet someone. Or yes, absolutely, they just jump back into something else. Yeah.
Or going back to the same one where, it may be a bit of a toxic relationship going on there, and they're going back and forth between each other, break up, get back together, break up, get back together, those types of relationships as well. And they can be just as hurtful, just as painful.
I think that the damage from that is, I've never done that actually in my life, because I'm too, I don't go until I'm done. And then when I'm done, I'm done. So I don't go back. I've never done that, but I have been astounded at how many of my friends and how many people I've seen do that. It's like
a lot of people do, actually.
Yeah, they can't break it. And, and the other thing is, humans, we're wired to have a partner. We're wired for relationships. And some people get so crushingly lonely that they would rather go back and have a few crumbs that they know is going to go bad again than be alone.
And so when we look at the feeling alone, why is it then that people get lonely and they crave for that human connection? I mean, we all want to be around people, as you said, and we all need to interact with people. Even if you are someone like me who likes to spend a lot of time on their own, you still need every now and again the interaction of other people. However, what I would say is that improves interaction with other people and improves relationships, whether it is friendships or actually, being involved with someone, is liking who you are and understanding what your values are and what you can bring to the relationship and what you expect out of a relationship. Also, what your boundaries are. We talk a lot about personal growth, and we talk a lot about boundaries. And values, as I said, is another really strong one. What are your values? Do you even know what your values are? And do you know what it is that you value in a relationship?
Yes, and you need to find if you know what your values are, you need to find someone else, and this can be friends as well, who share similar values to you, because you will never have, you can have friendships with people that don't have aligning values, and it will always cause you heartache and pain and conflict, always. Because values are the biggest thing. Yeah, values are huge. If you're on the same page with that, then you can accept the flaws. You can, and that's another thing, relationships aren't about finding a flawless, perfect person. They're about finding someone whose values match yours, whose actions are what you watch, not their words, or their actions and their words are the same. That's when you know someone's being honest with you. And they also, you can see their flaws, but you go, okay, I can tolerate those flaws. It's okay.
Yeah. And I think the other aspect is they support you for who you are. They're not trying to change you into something else or to be something that they want you to be. It's really about you are able to be yourself around them. And there is no judgment on that at all. And in fact, they love you for who you are as opposed to judging you for who you are. So,
and communication, you feel comfortable in having open and honest communication with them. So healing after heartbreak. So a lot of the time I hear, and I've got loads of mates that have had shocking breakups, and especially, having children and getting divorced, that kind of thing's heartbreaking. And they say things like, I'm just never going to bother again. I've got one friend who's thrown themselves into study for the last 4 years. And every time I'm like, any guys on the horizon, they're like, don't be stupid. I'm never doing that again. I'm never doing that again.
And I mean, that's the thing. It's the closing yourself down and shutting yourself from what could possibly be.
Yep.
And I think it goes back to we did earlier on when we first started doing these podcasts. We did one on finding your perfect
Yeah.
relationship, or what we refer to as your perfect partner.
Yep.
Um, and we spoke about writing a list of
Yeah.
what it is that
The
you want
magic
out of.
list.
Yeah. And if you've done something like that where you know what it is that you want out of a relationship, and it just so happens that the people that you're meeting are just not, they're not falling into line with that list that you've got, then that's okay.
Yeah.
But that's not you shutting yourself off. That's you being very clear about what it is
Yes.
that you want. But when
Yep.
you shut yourself off and shut yourself down,
Yeah.
it's an avoidance thing. It's an
Yeah.
avoidance of I'm trying to avoid getting hurt again.
Yep. But you're throwing the
And
baby out with the bathwater
yeah,
because you're also not, you're saying I'm not gonna get hurt again. You won't. But you also are never gonna meet the person that you could possibly be with. And as my nan used to always say, there's a lid for every saucepan. You just gotta find it.
I like that. There's a lid for everything. Yeah, it is. It's fascinating how we humans, when we get hurt, and the unfortunate thing about that, like, well, it's not even unfortunate. Life itself is you're going to get hurt in
Yep.
life,
Yep.
and it's really just about how we respond to that. We can either react or respond to it,
Yeah.
and a lot of people react to it. And I would also say the same thing with So if you're looking at relationships, going, well, I'm not going to get involved in a relationship because I don't want to get hurt.
Yep.
Well, that's a really it's unfortunately not a very nice way of looking at relationships at all, because
No.
it's really about trying to move into a relationship that's going to help you grow
Yeah.
and help the other person grow. And that's really what a good relationship is about, is the two of you
Yep.
working with each other to help each other grow and support each other.
Yeah. You
And
heal each
and I
other.
totally agree that if you can't find that within a relationship, yeah, you're probably a lot better off staying on your own than being in a relationship for the sake of being in a relationship.
Definitely.
And that takes me to the other side of it, is a lot of people will get involved in a relationship because they believe that that's what they've got to do, because that's what society says you've got to do. You get married, you
Yeah.
have kids, you have a white picket fence, all those types of things.
Yeah.
And people get into a relationship for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, they do. They do.
So I think it's
Absolutely.
about being very clear as to why you want a relationship or why you don't want a relationship. And if it's based on, well, I don't want one because of pain, well, then that's the wrong reason.
Yeah,
Um, you know,
definitely. And
I
and you
think
know what? Some of these relationships that you have that are really shit are the best learning and teaching experiences that you can possibly ever experience. When you're going through it, no, absolutely not. If someone was to say to you, "Oh, this isn't happening to you, it's happening for you," be like, "Shut up." But when you're on the other side of it, or once you've done a bit of personal growth work, you can look at things like, I mean, I've had a friendship that recently I've just noticed that it's actually crossing all my boundaries and it's not working. And I can see that we've grown apart, and that's okay. That's just how it's going to be. Like, I'm sad about it, but whatever. You've got to just accept that you can't force things in relationships. It's just never
no,
going to
you
happen.
can't.
But if
Yeah,
you're smart and you do the work on yourself, you don't have to be so fearful of, because I
no,
know as well, I'll meet other friends, you know?
yeah, yeah,
And it's funny because other friends have been sort of coming and getting more into my orbit anyway. And I think energetically, you do get back what you
what
you
you
know
put
you
out.
put out.
Yeah.
If you're walking around going, I don't want to meet anyone. Okay, the universe goes, okay, message received. You're not meeting anyone. Yeah,
And I would also look at it and go, if you have done work on yourself and you hit a point where you go, I don't need a relationship
mm,
to fulfill me, that's
yep,
a different thing.
yeah,
But at the same time, you may also go, I don't need it, but I'm open to it, because if a person does happen to come into my life, I'm not
yeah,
going to turn away and push them away. I'll see it for what it is, that this person has come to me into my orbit for a reason.
yeah,
And but again, as I said, if you've done a lot of growth work on yourself and you really like who you are, you can stand in your own and go, I'm just as happy to be on my own as I
yeah,
am to be in a relationship.
yep,
That is where I think it's very positive if you're coming from that perspective. But
yes,
if you're purely coming from a point of, as I said, I've been hurt, I don't want to get involved in a relationship because I'm scared of being hurt again.
yep,
That's total avoidance. That's what that is.
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
and you're
Mm.
also preventing yourself from the possibility of meeting someone who could be your perfect partner.
Make you really, really happy. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
missing out on something that could make you incredibly happy. And let's be honest, all relationships have their ups and downs.
they
So if
do.
you're looking for something that's perfect and makes you happy 100% of the time, then
No,
don't be in a
doesn't
relationship because
exist.
that's not what happens.
Yeah, no.
But if I actually could take a little step back as well, I think going the other way where you're like, you might sort of have this on again, off again. You've finished with the person that you're with, but you kind of stay connected. You're thinking about them. My friend recently said, I still love him. I know that he treated me terribly. I know our relationship was awful and he's moved on really quickly because that's just what he's like. But I still have feelings for him. And how do I stop having those feelings for him? And you can still love someone, but you're not in love with them.
Yeah, yeah,
And you can
absolutely.
transmute those feelings and say, and this is where in love, it's good to have. My husband said to me once, why are you so rational about things that are emotional? I'm like, because if you're 100% emotional about everything, even this stuff, you're going to fail. You have to have some rational thought in there. You've got to have some understanding of the balance and the things and the ebb and flow. You can't just sit there going, I'm in love, I'm feeling limerence. These are my feelings, and let them overwhelm you, because if you do that, you're going to lose your head.
Well, it's the alignment between mind and heart, isn't it? It's the
Yeah.
brain heart alignment. So
Yep.
it's really about coming from both those places, not just
Absolutely.
from one or the other.
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree. It's quite fascinating how that works out. And it's also, when you're mentioning about he's already moved on and she's still going, I still love this person. It's
Yep.
quite common for guys, even if they do love the other person, to actually move on really quickly. That's their way of dealing. As
Yeah.
in for women, we truly believe in healing ourselves before we move on to the next one,
Yeah.
and letting go and being able to move on. And that's just quite. I think that's that men are from Mars, women are from Venus type of setup
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and how it plays out. But as far as I'm aware, that's my understanding of it. Men do move on a lot quicker, but
Yeah.
that does not mean that they're not feeling the pain or the hurt from that relationship. They are. They just happen to move on. As in, women go, I just need to heal. I need to get this out of my system before because I don't want to take it into the next one. But that's not
Yeah.
to say that some women don't take their garbage or baggage, and even men into
Mm,
the, and that's probably why with a lot of men, because they do move on very quickly, they
yeah.
take that baggage with them into the next relationship.
I've
They
seen
haven't
a lot of
actually learnt from it.
Yeah, yeah, I've seen a lot of men, in fact, in this instance, he's basically just gone and got himself a different version of her,
Yeah.
which is a total mistake. So if you are gonna move on, actually advice that was given to me by a clinical psychologist. She's because I went and booked myself into one when I was leaving my husband because I didn't wanna make missteps. I wanted to be kept accountable on track, you know?
Yeah.
And I felt I couldn't do it on my own because I'd never navigated that before. So she said to me, a common mistake is that people will just replace the person with another clone of them. And that doesn't work because there may be things there that were attractive or they worked for that person or you felt good about them because obviously you wouldn't be with them if you didn't feel that way in the first instance. But going after exactly the same person is not going to work.
No.
Just doesn't work. You can't do that. And the same, going after the completely opposite person is also not going to work because I've seen that too, where you've gone from, the marrying kind of husband to the bad boy or whatever it is. It's somewhere you got to do the work on yourself and go, what are the things I liked about him? Okay, these are the things I like. These are the things that worked. And what would I have preferred to have had? And let me look at what those character traits and values were. And then let me kind of mix it together. And then I get my list.
Yeah, exactly. There's your list. What is it that
Mm,
you're after?
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
that's it.
So let's move on to the next phase then. So what are we're looking at building secure relationships. What does that mean then?
Well, I think you've got to be expecting security, you've got to be able to give it.
Yeah.
So we're not playing mind games, we're not mucking around, we're quite clear on what we want. We've got our list and someone's popped up now that sort of ticks the majority of those boxes because let's be honest, no one's ever going to tick everything, you know? If you
Well,
kind
my
of.
husband ticked 99% of it. There's only two things he didn't have, which was he wasn't over 6 foot and he didn't have blue eyes. Physical traits.
Yeah. Yeah, and those are nice to have, but not
Yeah,
essential, so it
exactly.
doesn't matter. So, once you've met this person, then this was another piece of advice I was given, audition them for a year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Audition. They're on audition, and
Yeah.
so are you. So
Yeah.
you need to make sure that you observe each other when you've got a poor internet connection, when things are going shit. You need to see how they react when they're having a really bad time because that will demonstrate their coping skills to you far more than, oh, we're going out to dinner, we're having a lovely time, things are all
Yeah,
great.
and being love bombed. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
And say no. Say no
Mm.
to them.
Yeah.
Disagree with them and see how they handle that. And if they go,
Yeah, but don't do it on purpose, though. Don't go, "I'm gonna absolutely say no to you because I'm making a game out of it."
"No, no,
This is
no,
in
no,
general.
no,
It's about
because we're not game
setting your
players."
boundaries. Yeah,
Yeah,
being very
no.
clear. Yeah.
Because game players, in male or female, they don't end up in happy relationships.
No.
If you're
No.
trying to play power games, if you're being manipulative, or you're in it to use someone, you will not end up in a happy relationship.
Oh,
There's just no way
totally.
you can. You can
Totally.
pretend that you're in a happy relationship and put all your nice highlights reel up to Facebook, but the reality behind closed doors will just be a living hell.
Mm. So I look at it and go, it's, your old relationship. Again, if you've got baggage from that, you need to let go of that baggage. You need to heal yourself. You need to work on yourself and
Yep.
let that baggage go. You also need to forgive yourself for whatever role that you played in that
Yes,
relationship. And then it's about your new relationship is a blank canvas. It's not the same thing.
that's
It's
right.
a totally different canvas. And you can choose to color that however you want to color it,
Yeah.
draw it however you want to draw it. And as you said, if you've got a list of what it is that you want out of a relationship, make sure that that list is part of the canvas.
Yes.
And when
Yep.
you first, if you first meet someone and things are looking like they could be moving in a very serious direction, have those conversations about what your boundaries are. Be
Yeah.
upfront, be truthful
Yep.
about what you expect out of that relationship. Don't just dive into the relationship and go, oh, let's just see where this goes. This is all lovely and the honeymoon effect and all
No.
that type of thing.
Yep.
Actually because if you're talking about wanting a long-term relationship, you're really saying that you want a life partner. So you want this person to be in your life for a long time, hopefully till the day you die.
Yeah.
And with that, you want to make sure that you have those upfront conversations. It's like going for a job interview.
Yeah.
Will you just take on any Joe Blow from if you're a business owner, or if
No,
you're
no,
actually
no,
going
no.
for a job interview, you are being interviewed to make sure that you are good enough for the job. So treat
Yep.
the relationship a little bit like that at first, of interviewing each other, but
Yep.
also being very clear as to what you want from
Yep.
that relationship, what you expect out of that relationship.
Yeah.
And if
Share
they
your
get
dreams.
scared
Mm.
from those early requirements as such, well, then that's not meant to be. So
Exactly.
where I'm
Exactly.
coming from is don't bend your own boundaries
No. No, no, no,
to
no.
make room for the other person just because you want to be in something for the sake of being in it. That's the mistake from the older relationship.
Yeah, and when I say disagree, you can have those during those conversations go, "Well, actually, I disagree. I really don't want to have children."
Yeah,
Or "No, I don't agree with that viewpoint." Or "It seems to me, like if we were to have kids together in this marriage, you and I are not on the same page about parenting. Can we look at that further because I don't agree with that
yeah,
standpoint." You
yeah,
know, and the response that you're looking for there is a learning, let's
correct.
learn together
Can you
response.
adapt together with that? And if you can't, if that is actually a no go, no, that's it, then you walk away.
Yeah.
But if it is actually a thing of, okay, let's talk about this,
Yep.
that's what a relationship is about. It's partnership.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
working with each other
Yep.
through the highs and the lows,
Yep.
and figuring out, because there'll be some things you'll just automatically agree on and go, this is
Yeah. Yeah.
amazing. We both really agree on this. And then
Yeah.
there'll be other stuff that you go, we don't see eye to eye on this. And
Yep.
that's still okay not to see eye to eye on it, as
Yep.
long as you appreciate and respect the other person's opinion or perception of that.
Yes. It's not about avoiding disagreements. It's
No.
about knowing how to have safe conflict.
Yeah, exactly. How to
You've got to have
handle those
safe conflict.
conversations, not
Yep.
to ignore them and walk away
No.
and pretend it never happened, or become a shadow of that person and whatever they say goes, because then you lose
Yes.
yourself in that
I'll
relationship.
give you an example of healing that my relationship with my husband gave me, my husband now Joe. When I first got together with him, I'm a very strong character. My previous husband wanted me to be a shadow of him. And over the years, I had not become that, but it had ground me down a lot. So I think a lot of my behaviors were like that. And I was a bit unconscious about that behavior. And when Joe moved in and we started hanging out a lot more, I started sort of going, he would ask me a question. I'd be like, well, what would you like to do? And he's like, well, what do you want to do? And I'm like, well, what would you like? And he went, just don't even do that. I was like, what? He said,
Mhm.
stop trying to please me and placate me and stop trying to make me the center of your universe. You've got your own life. The reason I love you is because you're confident and you go out there and do stuff. He said, so don't change because I won't want that. And I went, wow. At first I was kind of like, oh, wow. And then after that, I was like, gee, that's a really secure man talking to me.
Yeah, and when someone is secure within themselves,
Mm.
they are more than happy to have someone else around them who's secure within
Yes.
themselves, and that you
Yes.
can support each other through that.
Absolutely.
Um, because
Mm.
that to me is what building a secure relationship is all about, is that
Yep.
you are able to be you, express you without without any repercussions from
You've
it,
got to be able
without
to
being
live.
controlled. Yeah,
Yes. Yes, you've got to be able to live inside each other's inner world, inner landscape. You've got to be able to really deeply know one another. You've really got to know them. Don't make any commitments until you really know them. And the other thing is, for God's sake, don't rush through milestones, you know? Don't rush in, go, "Oh my god, this guy's the best man I've ever met. I'm moving in with him 2 weeks later." Don't do
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Don't rush through milestones, and if someone's trying to rush you through milestones, that's a big red flag because 'cause they're trying to get you into a place of either
Control.
control, yeah,
Mm.
or a position of comfort so that when the mask comes off, it's too hard for you to get out. So don't do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Mm.
It is. I've always said when I was younger, I used to always say I will live with them before I marry them because living with them will tell me everything I need to
Yep.
know about them.
Try
And
before you buy.
yep, exactly.
Absolutely.
And if that doesn't work, if that living with them doesn't work out, then poof, I got out early. And it's not to say that I lived with very many guys because I didn't. I've only lived with
Mm.
two guys. But but I looked at the relationship and went, "This is a serious relationship." He
Yeah.
could be my life partner. We moved in together. After 2 years, I went, "No, this is not it. This is not what
No.
I'm after," and came out of that. And it was after I came out of that I was very clear about what it is that I wanted out of a
Yeah.
relationship. And I think that's what helps build a secure relationship is becoming very clear within your mind.
Yep.
And the other person also needs to have, clarity of what they want in a relationship as well. It's not
Absolutely.
one-sided. It has to be both ways.
No, that's
And you
right.
should be able to have honest and upfront conversations with each other. If he's
Absolutely.
pissing you off or she's pissing you off, you should be able to sit them down and say, "Hey, I'm getting a little bit annoyed about this,"
Yeah.
without making them get defensive. I mean, they may get a little
Yeah.
bit defensive at first, but you should be able to have a conversation, not an argument, because if you leave it to the point that it becomes an argument, that means you've left it too late.
Yeah. And
And
your
that's not to say
boundaries
that Jeff
have
and
not been
I,
put in
after being
place.
together for 35 years, don't have any arguments. We have had some arguments, but mostly we will sit down and have a conversation with each other when
Yep.
something really pisses us off about the other
Yep.
person.
Yep. Yeah, we're the same, and we will disagree, and and sometimes we'll end up going, "Oh, well, we can
Yeah,
just agree to disagree. That's
yeah,
fine."
exactly. I know
Or
that
what
that's your opinion, and I have mine, and that's all
Yep.
right.
Yep.
You don't have to
Yep.
think like me.
No,
And I
in
think
fact,
that's really important is don't become the other person's shadow.
yeah, and don't become their other half. There's no such thing as being somebody's other half.
I
You are
call Jeff
2
my other half.
no, but you're 2 holes. You're
Yeah,
2,
we are
you
2
know.
holes, but I know
And
where you're
some
coming from.
yeah, some people are like, "Oh, they're my other half. They're they're they complete me." No, you complete yourself.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then you come together and you have, a relationship that you work on together. You're not
And you
2 halves
complement
of a
each
whole.
other,
You
it's
complement
that's the
each
thing,
other.
you complement each other and you bounce
Yeah,
off of each other and,
yeah,
things like that.
yeah,
It's like yin and yang, that's pretty much what it is. You're
exactly.
bringing the 2 together.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so that to me is what really is building a serious a secure relationship,
yeah,
a relationship if you want it to have longevity,
yeah.
and that to
Stable
me is how it
longevity
works.
and
Yeah.
growth because you need growth too. You don't want a stagnating relationship either, where you're with someone. Particularly if you're into growth and they're not, that's a big one because you're just going to exhaust them and drive them up the wall, and they're going to be like a lodestone around your neck.
So
I
true.
speak from experience. Yeah, so you've really got to make sure that you both have the same ideas on that stuff. How does
Yeah.
that look? What and have the conversations, the big conversations. So where do you see us living? What sort of place would you like to be? How many kids do you want to have? And what kind of retirement? What does retirement look like to you? How do you feel about me taking some time out to study? What would you feel like if I was earning more money than you? These are things you
All
need to
those
know.
Yeah, they are all those things you actually need to know.
Mm.
And I suppose that moves us to moving into attachment styles, the different attachment
Mm.
styles as well. God,
Yes, this is a
because
really
I
interesting
think if
one.
you can understand yourself a bit better and understand how you relate within a relationship, um, then it'll also give you, like, especially if you can look back at your past relationships and go, "Oh my gosh, they were my styles," and
Yeah,
then learn and adapt and change, especially if they haven't been great for you,
yeah.
if they've been, because I understand there's 4 attachment styles that you're aware of. Kat, did you wanna call them out?
in psychology, yeah, there's the attachment styles. So you've got anxious, avoidant, oh God, like
Secure?
disorganized.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then secure. And the one that's the ideal one that, psychologists have tracked since the 60s and say provide you with stable, happy long-term relationships and good families is a secure attachment style. And
Yep.
that actually comes from feeling good, would you believe, about yourself and having
Aha.
and it's easier for people who've been raised in families with parents that model secure attachment styles, who know how to look after themselves and are good with their mental health and have healthy boundaries and can say no and explain why they do that. They've got that nice authoritarian, authoritative parenting, not authoritarian, where they,
Yeah. I was
they've
gonna say authoritarian is a bit like
sorry, it's authoritative where it's so close where they are actually they say, well, no, we can't let you do that, but here's the reasons why, and they're
yeah.
consistent and patient. So kids from those kinds of families tend to have more secure attachment styles. Now the interesting thing is, if you've come from similar background to us, you might. I certainly did used to have an anxious attachment style. Absolutely, very very anxious when I was young, and that can make us incredibly attracted to avoidant dismissive attachment styles because they tend to really I've read it explained like an island and a wave. The anxious person sits there like a lonely island. The avoidant comes up in a big wave and goes, oh God, and you're like, oh, we love each other so much, there's all this limerence, amazing. Then the avoidant person goes, oh God, I'm so suffocated, I've got to go. And then the anxious person is going, please come back. So they do. It's like this never ending dance and this exchange of energy where the anxious person is so invested in them and they do love each other, but they just cannot live together because they can't give each other what they need. And that is
Yeah.
a really common thing I've seen a lot of.
Yeah.
But your attachment style can heal over time.
It can,
And
if you can
actually
change
good
it, just because
relationships,
that's what it was. And I mean, because if you look at, you were saying with yourself when you were younger, that's what you were like.
very
So what were
anxious.
some of the things that you did to actually help you improve upon your relationship style?
Well, like I said, I split from my ex-husband. I did a lot
Yeah.
of counseling around this stuff with a clinical psychologist. We went through attachment styles. We understood a lot of stuff. So I actually, the key was get to know yourself better.
Yeah. Funny that.
Yeah, be more involved in myself, put myself
Yep.
first, figure out what are the things that I like, what's my purpose, what makes me happy, pursue the dreams that you have for yourself and generate and create your own group of friends, stand on your own 2 feet and really get into your own life so that your partner doesn't become the sort of the sun that eclipses everything.
Yeah.
Your partner is there, but you're both equals. You're both equally developed in your lives. You've both got the same kind of support networks. You've got friends, you've got hobbies, you've got jobs and careers and ideas and dreams. And those are your things that you own yourself. But then you come together to create those things,
Yeah.
you know?
Absolutely.
So if one partner did pass away, it's that footy goalpost. I've got them in my mind with the great big thick pylons in the ground, which is
Yeah.
all of these things. If one partner were to pass away, the other partner would feel, tremendously shaken, but they would still be secure enough to stand on their own.
And to move on. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
that's a healthy attachment style.
Yeah. And I totally agree because if I look at with myself, same thing. I came out of a bit of a nasty relationship and and I was shocked to be in that relationship in the first place because of my upbringing. And
Yeah.
going, how did I find myself in this? Because I was very aware that that's not what I wanted in a
Yeah.
relationship. Yet I still attracted it. And why did I attract it? Was because I still had a lot of healing to do within myself, and I still had
Yeah.
to become very clear within myself what I wanted. Because I came into it going, because all my friends at that point, when I'm looking at that age of being about 19 when I met him, all
Yeah.
my friends were all, starting to get into these relationships. And I was like, I want to be in a relationship
Mm.
too, and
Yeah.
and so we think again that being the expectations of society, this is what society expects of you. Get into a long-term relationship,
Yep.
get married, have kids, that type of thing. So you don't give yourself that time, that space to sort of step back and go, what is it that I actually
Yeah.
want
Do I
in
know
a
myself well
relationship?
enough?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so out of that, when I came out of that relationship, I did exactly that. I went, oof. And I did find myself in the same pattern straight away when I came back going, oh, I don't want to be single for too long.
Yeah.
I don't like being on my own and da 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 da.
Yep.
And then that was a light bulb moment because I went, why don't I like being on my own?
Yeah.
Do I not like my own company? What is the single negative story that you actually keep telling yourself about over and over again?
Yeah. And I mean, it is a lie. It's a complete lie. Like, you can believe that you'll never change a certain aspect of yourself. The good news is that if you don't know where to start, turn inward. If you want to do the work, unbelievable results will follow.
Here at the Art of Beautiful Thinking, we've actually created a workbook called Your Authentic Life Blueprint.
Mm.
I pretty much created this based on all of the tools that have assisted me to level up from growing up in a domestic violence environment. I've condensed these tools into a workbook that actually guides you to understanding you and to bring joy into your life and to live life from that place. So
Yeah.
what we will also do is guide you in creating your new belief by unlocking your limiting beliefs,
Mm.
identifying your self-sabotaging habits, and understanding your values and strengths so you can increase your self-confidence.
Mm.
We also assist you to define your unique purpose, and you get to set goals based on that and then break those down from huge tasks into smaller, powerful steps so you
Yep.
can do something every single day towards living a life that is uniquely yours.
The Authentic Life Blueprint workbook is actually your comprehensive 12-week roadmap. And you can use it as a powerful self-study, or you can have it as a foundation for our entire coaching program. Don't waste any more time being miserable or suffering. It's not worth it. Mm.
You know, what's going on here? Why is it that I can't feel secure within my own space for me? And that was when I started doing quite a bit of work on myself as
Yep.
well. I started that process and then did the list as well.
Yeah, yeah. The
And I
list is
played and did the
magic.
list of what is it that I'm looking for and made the decision that if I couldn't find that person, I'd prefer to be on my own
Yeah, and I
and
mean,
for second best type of thing.
absolutely. And there's so many layers to it, isn't there? There's society expects us to find partners. There's our friends all doing this because this is what we do. There is a biological drive there when you're
Yep.
young. Unfortunately, we are biologically wired to find a partner because nature tries to make us reproduce. Like, there's not enough
Yes.
of us here already. So there's loads of things that are influencing us. But the worst possible thing you can do is just be with someone because it's better than being
Yeah,
alone.
for the sake of being with someone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally
Mm.
agree.
Yeah.
Excuse me whilst I have a glass of water.
Yeah. So I mean, that's really interesting. Attachment styles definitely can heal. Absolutely, they can heal. Um, you can go from being a very insecure, anxious person to having a very secure attachment style, and that's what relationships are actually. So if you're with someone who's got a secure attachment, um, quite often they'll heal people with, anxious or
Yeah,
avoidant attachments,
because they
just
get them to
because.
believe in themselves and things
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because they'll pull them up, and
Yeah.
that's what we're all here for. We're all here to do
Yeah.
that, aren't we? We're all here to heal each other, really,
Well, I think
ultimately.
that's kind of like one of the flags, like green flags of a good relationship is that
Yep.
person actually wants to see the best for you and help you
Yes.
become the best version of yourself. They don't
Yes.
want to pull you down. They don't want to minimize you or make you feel little. They want to empower you to step up. And
Yep.
then you know that you're actually found a really good soul, someone who
Mm.
absolutely wants to work with you to become a great
Yes.
version of yourself because when you bounce off of each other from that perspective, you're actually helping each other grow,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
like it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal to watch and it's
Yeah.
phenomenal to be part of.
It's
So
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know
That's
that that's what Jeff and I have. We help each other grow. He will never stop me from doing something that I have a desire to do, and I would never stop him from doing something that he has a
mm.
desire to do.
Yep.
And if one of us happens to what we perceive as fail at something, the other one will pull them back up and say, "Come on, keep on going." The
Yeah.
perseverance, or there's light at the end of the tunnel, whatever. We egg each other on in a
Yeah,
good
we
way.
do too. Yeah, I say
And
that he's the wind beneath my wings sometimes
yeah,
because
exactly,
when I succeed, he's the first person going, "Well done." Like,
totally.
he's stoked,
Yeah,
and he'll sit on the couch and look at me and go, "Holy shit, I'm so proud of you." And I'll be
yeah,
like, "Aw." And it's great, and I didn't ever have that in any relationship prior.
no,
I think that's the other thing. If you feel like you're in a relationship where your partner can't celebrate your wins honestly and is maybe competing with you or tries to knock you down or even in, dodgy ways. I know that my ex-husband, whenever I wanted to go and study at uni, we'd make an agreement that, he'd come home and look after the kids so that I could go to the info night, and he would then ring me at the last minute and go, I can't, I've got to
yeah,
do overtime. And it would
yeah,
happen every time, every single time. And it took me about 4 or 5 goes to realize what was actually going on.
yeah. Well,
Mm.
yeah, I used to get kicked under the table for talking.
Oh my God. Horrendous. or
Especially
neighbours.
this is if we're in a public, place, and we were sitting at a table, and if he was sitting across from me or next to me, I would, yeah, if I started having a conversation, I'd get a kick,
What, to someone
basically.
else that he
Yeah,
didn't know or another
basically.
man?
Oh, no, whether it was someone that even he did know, I just wasn't to talk. It was like, just sit there and be quiet and look pretty,
And don't give
that
your
type of thing.
attention to anyone else.
Yeah,
Yeah, wow,
yeah,
that's really gross. I'm
yeah.
so glad you ditched his ass.
Oh, yeah. So am I. And I learned big from it too. It was, I learned big from it. And I would say that when I came out of that relationship, I did still I loved him, like similar
Yep,
to your friend. I loved him, but I knew that I didn't want to go back to that
yep,
relationship. And I also knew that I needed to heal from it as well. And so it probably
yep.
took me, well, as I said, I went on dates and things like that, but it took me probably a good 6 to 8 months to actually
Mm,
um, start going, okay, I'm ready.
yeah, and that's good because you don't wanna rush straight in if you're
No.
unhealed and you've got all this rebound energy going on, like, I mean, I was done a long, long time before I, really pulled the pin because I wanted to be sure.
And that
So I was
apparently is
already
quite common with females too, that, when they
yeah,
make the decision to leave, they've actually already been done in that relationship for quite a while,
2 years for
which
me.
says
Yeah.
something in itself that we still go and stay in a relationship even after we,
Yep.
feel that it's done. Why do you think that is?
Mine was guilt. It was
Okay.
guilt because I tried to have conversations with him and he would say things like, "Oh, what am I gonna do? What are the kids gonna do? I'm not gonna be able to live without you." And I'd look at him and I'd think, "Oh, you are pretty useless. You're probably not gonna be able to live without me." And then I had to go through this stage where I thought, "Well, is that my problem? Do I really want to look after a baby man forever? No.
Mm.
I've got 2 kids, I need to look after them, and actually, what it was, truthfully, that allowed me to leave was I got a different group of friends who started to us and it wasn't they just started making comments like, "Oh, you're so funny. Oh, that's great." Just little things like that, and, "Oh, we had such a good time with you tonight," which I hadn't heard from him in such a long time that I started looking at myself again and thinking, "Actually, I'm not too bad." I think I
That's
think
cool.
maybe I'm gonna like myself a bit more, and I started consciously making an effort to like myself and spend time doing things I liked with people that I liked, which he hated, and my self-esteem grew back,
Yeah,
and then
so
I just went
self-worth, your emotional intelligence started coming back into play. Yeah.
because when you're ground down in a long period of time in a relationship, it doesn't matter how I mean, I'm a very strong character. I'm very assertive. You think that, but when someone's constantly saying negatives to you or gently putting you down or manipulating and crossing your boundaries, you're like the frog in hot water and you don't realize that you're sitting in really hot water at this point and you've just built up this tolerance to it and it really does affect you.
It
So,
does.
yeah,
Mm.
I mean, that was what it was. And again, my relationship with myself, and that's what domestic violence abusers and intimate partner violence, the coercion and control is all about is separating. And I'll say a woman, I know that there are female domestic violence.
Vice
I'm
versa.
acknowledging that, but the
Yeah.
numbers say that its majority is male to
Yeah.
female. It's about separating a woman from her own power, her own self-belief, her own self-esteem, her own self-love. Because when you separate her from that, you can come in with it and you
Yeah.
can knock her down and then you can control her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating because I think that for me, when I was coming out of that relationship, was, and knowing that it wasn't great, was because I had my parents that I could reference and go,
Yeah.
I don't want a relationship like that, and I can
Yeah.
see it's moving in that direction. But I had not really known what a good relationship looked like.
Yes, that's right.
I hadn't actually experienced that, so.
Mm.
Um, Except for, like a high school sweetheart, that I dated, and we were, we got on really well, but we never, it never went further than high school type of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
But the thing with that was when I was with this particular person, um, and I would see other couples that we were friends with, and I'd kind of go, that's the relationship. So I was getting cues from,
yeah,
other couples and
yep.
seeing how they interacted with each other and the respect that they had for each other.
I did that
And,
too.
and
Mm.
each person had a lot of self-worth. They
Yeah,
knew what they brought to the table, that type of
yeah,
thing.
yep.
Because there was a couple that were like, I was only in my early 20s when I was with
Mm.
this person, and so one of our friends that was in our friendship group, they were in their mid-30s,
Oh, wow.
and so I looked at them and went, "That's," and they were absolutely in love with each other, had
Mature
kids, that
and
type of
kind.
thing.
Yeah,
And I was
yeah,
kinda going, "Wow, that's what you're after, is you're
yeah.
after that." And
Yeah, I
so
did that too,
yeah.
actually, because I noticed I had 2 friends, Rianne and Amanda. And Amanda's husband just loved and adored her and loved the family. And same with Rianne's husband. They were really, their husbands are lovely and they're lovely people. And, and he would come home and like they'd come home and cook dinner, look after the kids, do all these things. And I'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, mine doesn't even do that and doesn't lift a bloody finger. And they'd say to me, "Why not?" And I'd be like, I don't know. Oh god." That's right, I let him
And then you start
slowly
going, "Why not?"
yeah,
Why
I
not?
let him erode me over the
Yeah,
years into being his
yeah,
little, maid slave, and I'm like,
yeah.
"Oh," and then when I started trying to raise that with him a couple of times and said, you know, "These guys help out their family," he'd be like, "Oh," and then he tried to this was really telling, he tried to stop me from seeing them, and he refused to come around their houses anymore.
Oh, wow.
'Cause he didn't want me going over there, and then if I did go over there, I don't he didn't wanna talk about it or he would not speak to me for days.
Yeah,
Interesting, isn't it?
yeah.
These little behaviours that technically aren't domestic violence, but actually they are.
Well, yeah. I think that's the interesting thing, though. It's when you are walking out of those relationships, what are some of the things that you need to do? And first of all, it is you need to rebuild that self worth
Yeah, definitely.
of because you do get pulled down.
Yep,
Um, you've got to look at the baggage that you're carrying from it and
yep,
really let that go and work it out. So whether that is
yep.
going to a counselor or a psych or a coach,
Mm,
whatever it is to help you heal and work it out. And, really starting to understand your role
yeah.
in that as
Yes,
well.
yes. Take ownership and accountability,
Yeah.
and that hurts. That hurts if you're honest with yourself, but do you know what? You can come and join me in the fuck up club because we all fuck up.
We've all been there. We have all fucked up from time to time. So, yeah, it is. I think you've got to look at it and really look at the role that you played. And it's not to say that, you're a terrible person or anything like
No,
that. Look at it from a perspective of what your learnings can be. So you don't take that into the next one.
you made a
And
mistake. That's
you know,
okay. Yeah,
what as you were saying before, what are those attachment styles that you have?
yeah,
Are you the anxious one? Are you the avoidant dismissive, or are you the avoidant fearful?
yep,
Or are you secure? If you're secure,
yep.
good on you. But if not, the idea is to become secure. So what are some of the things that you can do to start working on yourself to do that? And I know
Mm,
for me it was getting into personal growth and really starting to understand who I
mm.
was
Yep,
as a person,
yep,
really understanding what my values were as
yeah,
well,
yep.
and what did I want out of life, you
Yes,
know?
what is the big picture? Let's draw back to
Yeah,
the big picture a minute because,
and it's
yeah,
not just
yeah,
relationships, it's not what I want out of it's like, what do I want out of life? What
yeah,
do I want to express in this lifetime? What do I want to experience? You know,
yep,
and and so I started getting really clear on that, and then that meant for me, well, okay, so the person that I want with me, like to walk that path with
yep,
me, what would they have to be like? Well, so
yeah,
what's that list?
yeah. I want
Because
someone to
I
show
love
up.
traveling, so I don't wanna have
Yeah.
someone in my life who doesn't like to travel.
No, who wants to just stay in one town for the rest of their lives and doesn't wanna leave their family and things,
Yeah,
I wanna be out going all over the place. I want someone to show up,
yeah,
because I show up,
yeah,
and that's the other
exactly.
thing. You need that relationship in the significant other relationship in your life is absolutely gonna make or break your life. There's no two ways about it. There's so much power in it. If you choose correctly, you show up, you get someone who shows up to the same level that you do. They take accountability the same way that you do. They are secure. Look for someone who's secure that you can disagree with and they are there. They don't
Yeah,
they don't let you down.
but
And
that
that
also means you need to be secure within yourself,
yes. Yeah.
So when you look at someone and say, "This is what I want for them," who are you being? Are you being that person as well?
Yeah.
So what is it that so if you've got the like, I know for me, when I looked at the list and I went, "This is what I want," I kinda went, "Well, okay, am I being that person as well? Am I
Yeah.
being
Yep. What
secure
am I
within
doing?
myself? Am I
Or if
being"
I'm not, what am I doing to become that person? Because let's be honest,
Exactly.
we're all on a journey.
We are.
Like what am I doing every day in my little small ways to get myself to where I want to
Yeah,
be?
to be that person.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And then forgiveness.
Oh, that's
Forgiveness
such a
plays a
big one.
massive
Huge.
role.
Huge.
You've got to forgive the past
Yep.
in order to make room for the future. Yeah,
And you
and
gotta forgive yourself. Forgive
exactly.
yourself. You fucked up. It's okay. We all do it. And people that say they don't are liars. We all
Yeah,
do
totally.
it.
We all
And
fuck up.
that's the biggest thing. That was the biggest thing for me. I had to recognize what I was doing wrong and forgive myself for not having the knowledge to do better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's what it boils down to. I just didn't know
Yeah.
any better. And this is
Well,
sometimes how
exactly.
you learn.
Exactly. I
Sometimes
mean,
it's how you
I
learn.
look at it and I go, well, I came out of an upbringing that was really, really bad. And yes, my first serious relationship wasn't the best, but it wasn't as bad as my parents.
Yeah,
So I had that one.
exactly.
And I still walked out of it going, aha, I don't want this. Let's wake up here and move on.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and
You
so
didn't just go, stuff this, I'm going to go
yeah,
and pursue some other shit.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
part of my forgiveness process with that was, why did I get involved in the relationship in the first place? I got involved because I didn't want to be alone, because everybody else was getting involved in relationships.
Exactly.
I wasn't clear on what I
Mhm,
wanted out of a
mhm.
relationship. I just happened to get involved with the guy that I found attractive, you know?
Yes, which is, I think, really common. They're just so hot. I saw a comment on Facebook in a group I'm on saying, "Have you ever just sat down with someone and gone, oh my God, they're so cute, I can barely get my words out because they just make
Mhm,
me, I'm just sitting here
mhm.
with my heart racing." And I said, yes, it's called limerence. It's when your brain is failing you dramatically. Be very cautious. Be very, very cautious.
Yep, yep. And so that's the thing, you know, there's a thing of physical attraction, but physical attraction doesn't necessarily mean
No.
longevity.
In fact, I think I'm sure I've been reading a lot of Chinese teachings recently, and I'm sure, and the old spiritual stuff. I'm sure that there's something that I read that said, "Don't be with the person that sets your blood on fire. Be with the person that makes you feel calm and like you've come home."
Yeah, yeah.
That is a real difference, because I know as a youngster, I used to date a lot of hot guys. I was like, "Oh my God, they're amazing," and shallow, I'd stepped in deeper
Oh.
puddles. I'm being a bit cheeky now. Sorry.
Yeah, but that's so true. I mean, absolutely, it's so true. I know for me, in my early 20s, especially after I broke out of that relationship, and as I said, I had a couple of little flings here and there.
Yeah,
One of them was just pure physical, and I knew that.
absolutely.
I knew it was
Absolutely.
pure physical. I knew there was nothing else there but sex. That's all it was.
That's
It
it.
was good bloody sex.
Sex.
But
Yep.
I saw it for what it was, and I
But
kind
that's
of went.
okay,
I
as
didn't
long
look
as
at
you
it and go,
knew.
"Well, I want to spend the rest of my life with this person." Yeah, he was hot, but yeah, there wasn't, like when I asked him about what he wanted to do in life and things like that, it wasn't a lot.
I
He was a
know.
lifesaver down at the pool. It was like, yeah, but gosh,
Lifesaver at the pool. Oh my God. Yeah, he probably was hot.
yeah, he was.
It's interesting though, because there's probably another lid out there for that saucepan that thinks that kind of lifestyle's fine. Good, happy days.
Totally. Yeah. So I think it is become very clear, if that's all you want out of a relationship is sex, well, then it doesn't really matter, does it? I mean, still, you want to make sure you're not being abused whilst you're having sex.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
the other side of it though is, if you are looking for that long-term relationship, or if you're avoiding it because of pain from the past, then it
yep,
really does come back to, let's work on ourselves. Let's
absolutely.
become the partner that
Yep.
the other person's looking for.
And don't
You
go
know,
back.
we're
Don't
talking
go
about
back.
creating a list. What
Yep.
about that other person? They've probably created a list, and wouldn't it be fantastic if you ended up being the person off of their list?
Yeah, your list's matched, or, we're
Yeah.
90% of the way there. And don't go back. Don't go back. There's
No,
a
don't
reason
go
why you
back.
split up. It's like eating a meal that you already threw up once. Don't do that.
Yeah. No.
Gross.
Yeah. And you're worth it. You are worth being loved.
And the wonderful thing is, as we always say, everything is energy. So this is an energetic journey that we're on. If you take a real step back and you look at the mistake that you've made, okay, fine, you stuffed up, you didn't know, you're learning. So you got to mend your little broken heart. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Not every man is like that. It's just you haven't found the right one, because ultimately relationships are about knowing yourself well enough to know what suits you and then finding that in another person. That's all it is.
Totally.
It's so simple. It's such a straightforward thing. You've just got to know how to do it.
So on that note, we hope you've gotten quite a lot out of today's session. We've actually enjoyed it. It's always good fun talking about some of our own little stories. Push it back a bit. But hey, look, if you've actually really gotten something out of it, you've got a question for us, or even if you've had your own aha moment, we would love to hear from you.
Love to.
Please provide information in the comments, or come and join our Facebook community group, where we would like a lot of interaction in there. We provide a lot of information about the upcoming podcasts and episodes, and to also find out if there is a particular episode that you would like us to cover? You know, is there a
Yeah.
topic that you would like us to cover?
Or
That would
expand
be,
upon, or you wanna ask
yeah,
us a question, and,
totally.
we are really trying to get out there and assist and help people and encourage people to grow, so please, if you do like what you've seen today, please do hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel so that we can keep growing.
Yeah, and share it with your family and friends as well, because if you like something, the chances are they are gonna like it as well. So until next time, think beautifully and live brilliantly. Ciao.
Bye.
We'd like to say a huge thank you to our incredible audience for your continued support. Our mission is to ignite your spark, empowering you to be a beacon of light for others. We'd love to hear from you. So if you've got any questions that you would like answered in future episodes or just want to share some insights, connect with us on our Facebook community page. If you're looking for additional resources, go to our website. You'll find the link below. And remember, the absolute best way to help us grow is to share this episode with your friends and family and to subscribe to the Art of Beautiful Thinking podcast. So until next time, think beautifully and live brilliantly.